Hey guys, welcome back to Harrison Hacks. Today, the Dreamcast Classic Edition build is being released. This is a 64-bit only release. Redream is a 64-bit emulator, so there's no way for me to make a 32-bit version. What sets this one apart from other Classic Edition builds that I've done in the past is this one actually has two links in the description. The first one is going to be the Dreamcast Classic Edition front end, and the second one is an optional games pack. So in this video, I'm going to focus on installing the Dreamcast Classic Edition, and then I'll show you how to add the games pack. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how you can add games from the Dreamcast Vintage Collection pack. So we can go ahead and do that. If you don't want to download the games pack because you already have Dreamcast games, we can go ahead and do that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to want to do is go to the link in the description. Now there's two links. The first one is going to give you the Dreamcast Classic Edition link.txt. The second one is the optional games pack, and it's just another text file as well. So first thing we're going to do is open up the Dreamcast Classic Edition link.txt. We're going to highlight everything inside just like so. Right click, copy, and then go ahead and paste that into your web browser. It's going to take you to download the Dreamcast Classic Edition .7-zip file. It's 114 megabytes when it's zipped up and 145 megabytes once it's unzipped. So to unzip it, we'll just right click on the 7-zip file with WinRAR, extract here, and with 7-zip you can do extract here. Once it's extracted, you'll have the Dreamcast Classic Edition folder, and we'll just right click, cut, and we're going to paste it into the root of our H drive. Just paste it in there. And there we go. So if you are downloading the optional games pack, we're going to want to go to the second link in the description and download the text file for the games pack. Open up the text file. Same thing, just highlight everything inside like so. Right click, copy, paste that one into your web browser. And that's going to download the games pack. So the games pack, when it's zipped up, is 8.43 gigabytes. And once it's extracted, it's 9.3 gigabytes. So what we're going to want to do here is right click on the 7-zip file again, and we can extract here with WinRAR, or with 7-zip we can extract here. Again, it's just going to extract a Dreamcast Classic Edition folder. We're going to right click, cut, go to the root of your H drive once again. So not inside of your Dreamcast Classic Edition, but right in the root of H, and we're going to paste it in the root of H. And this is just overwriting the initial Dreamcast Classic Edition and putting the games exactly where they need to be. It's the games as well as video snaps and box art. So we'll go on inside the Dreamcast Classic Edition. You can see we have three folders. The first one we want to focus on is Redream. We're going to go into the Redream folder, and we're going to go and enter the redream.exe. This is going to open up the Redream application. We're going to go into Input, and we'll click on that with our mouse. There we go. So port 0 is where you're going to want your controller. So my input device is my X input controller. I'm using an Xbox 360 controller. And then customize binds. Now I've already set up my controller. You can do this. So this would be your left analog stick, up, down, left, right. D-pad, up, down, left, right. For the triggers, I do use my triggers, but you can use your bumpers if you're using an Xbox 360 controller, or even L1, L2 if you're using L1, R1, L2, R2, whichever, if you're using a PS3 or PS4 controller. So exit emulator I keep as escape. If you want to have a turbo button, it's available. I use my right thumbstick pressed as a button, so I would just click it, and I'll click my right thumbstick. If I want to enable turbo. I don't take screenshots, but if you want to have any unused button to take screenshots, you could. And then the main menu, we're not going to need that either, so I wouldn't worry about that. But once you have all of your buttons configured, and it shows you here your A button is your A button. So whichever buttons you want to configure to use, we could just exit out of Redream, and we're going to go up a folder. We're going to go into Attract, and we're going to launch the Dreamcast Classic Edition, attract.exe. So I'm hoping the video is not choppy. Last time I've already recorded this video, it was very choppy. I've rebooted my laptop. I really need to get to my upgraded PC as soon as possible. But here we go. We are inside and we have no controls other than our keyboard. So the first thing we want to do is press tab on our keyboard, and we're going to go up to controls, press enter. We're going to go to the very top to back and then exit, press enter, go down, add input. So I use my B button. So I'm going to press enter and press B, and B will back us up. As far as up, we'll go press enter, and we'll go to add input, press enter. I'm going to go up, and we're going to do the same thing for down, left, right, down, left, right. For select, this is not your select button. This is to launch a game. So the way that I like to launch games is using my start button. So I'm going to press enter. I'm going to go down to add input, press enter, and I'm going to press start. So when I press start on a game, it'll launch it. We have a couple more here, actually a few more. We'll go all the way down till we see custom 1. So I'm going to press my start button now that it's choosing. I'm going to go to add input, press start, and I'm going to press my A button. There we go. Back up. Custom 2 is not necessary, but you could set it if you want. I usually set it for my X button. So add input, I'll use my X button. And for custom 3, we're going to use our select button or back button if you're using a 360 controller, but select button for any other controller. There we go. So we'll back out of here. Now we're going to go to emulators, Sega Dreamcast, and you go down to exit hotkey. So I like to use select and down as my exit hotkey to come back to the main menu, same as a mini SNES or mini NES if you're using HackG. So I'm going to use select and down. Boom, and we'll back up. We're going to go back into emulators, Sega Dreamcast -null DC, and I'm going to go back down to exit hotkey, and I'm going to press select and down. There we go. And lastly, we're going to want to come down to general and go up one to confirm favorites and turn that to no. We don't need to confirm favorites. Okay, so we'll back up to the main menu and go through the games list. So before we go through the games list, I just want to say thank you to all the patrons who contributed to the games list. It is not a large games list, but these are larger games, so that actually works out really well to be a small download for everybody. And if you didn't get the games pack, it's even smaller, but if you did, it's not that big. It's under 10 gigabytes all said and done. So Crazy Taxi 2, Daytona USA, Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. So this is a prototype game. This isn't even like a really released game. It was a European prototype, and I found it and I put it on here. I found some box art, obviously, and really glad it's there. And I do not have game information for this one, unfortunately, but I do have the video snap. But if you do have game information and video snap, you can press down on your controller, and that'll show you that there. We have Ikaruga, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Power Stone, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Skies of Arcadia, which is 2 discs, so there's disc 1, disc 2, Typing of the Dead. So this is why we have null DC. This game is not compatible with Redream, but I do like using Redream as the main emulator. So null DC will be running Typing of the Dead because my keyboard worked right out of the box with null DC using this game, and it worked great. Now I am using a US keyboard, so if you're using a non-US keyboard and you're having keyboard issues, hopefully Google is your friend and you can figure this out. I don't have any other type of keyboard except a US style, but I can say that it's working perfectly within this game. And last but not least, Zombie Revenge. So that is the games list that we have included. And a little bit later in the video, I'm going to show you guys how you can add games from the Vintage Collection Dreamcast pack. So a little bit about the front end. If we go up, I wouldn't worry about systems. I wouldn't worry about config. Filters, so if we have favorites, so let's go to Crazy Taxi 2. I want that as my favorite. Let's use our select button. Added to favorites. And Flintstones as well. We'll add that to favorites. So if we come up to filters and we press our A button, if you configured the same as my setup, there is our favorites. If we want to remove them, we'll just press the select button on them one more time and it removes them from favorites. We go back to filters and press A and we get the entire ROM list. Mini snap, so if we press A on here, you can see the VMU with the little video snap there. Pretty cool. And it will switch out as we change games. If you want to keep it up, if you want it to go back down, go back to mini snap and press A and poof, it's gone. And the manuals doesn't work, but it's there for show. So I do want to say about the theme. This is initially the NES mini theme by Dave Barcy. Then it was reconfigured as an SNES classic theme by Community 45. And then I've gone ahead and messed with it some more to turn it into a Dreamcast Classic Edition. So that is how this theme came about. And I don't want to take credit for being the creator of it. I am not. Harrison hacked it, and I hacked it from Dave Barcy, who got it hacked from Community 45, and now here it is, what you're seeing today. So if I launch a game real quick, hopefully this video doesn't stutter too much, but I'll press my start button to launch a game. And the nice thing about Redream, it just works really well. The compatibility list is available online, so you guys can check that out as well if you go to the Redream website for game compatibility and things of that nature. But you can see it boots right up. Now I'm going to press select and down. I'm right back to the main menu. I will show you Typing of the Dead. I'm going to launch it. And with this particular game, as I mentioned earlier, it's running in null DC. So null DC takes a little bit more to run. It's a little bit more, I guess it uses a little more of your CPU power. So we just get the quick null DC splash, but the game will go full screen. And I've tested this numerous occasions. It's running slow right now, but that's just because I'm recording. But I'll do select and down and exit out. And now I'm going to show you guys how we will add games from Vintage Collection if you did not download the optional games pack. So exit, yes. Okay, so now that we're in our Dreamcast Classic Edition, we're going to want to go into, we're going to go up a folder. We are going to go into the Redream folder, the ROMs folder, and you can see here is everything from the optional games pack. If you didn't do the games pack, this is empty. So we'll just drag it over. Vintage Collection. So I'm inside of my Vintage Collection folder. I'm going to go to Games, Dreamcast, and for sure you're going to want to copy your box art and your snap folders. You're going to want to copy those over into your Dreamcast Classic Edition. That way you have all of your artwork ready to go. And then let's say we wanted to add a game. So Army Men, Sarge's Heroes. I'll just copy it and paste it. The Dreamcast Classic Edition uses the exact same ROM list other than the added game of the Flintstones as Vintage Collection does. So any games you copy from Vintage Collection over will be named correctly within the ROM list. So we have Army Men. So let's go back to our Dreamcast Classic Edition, attract, and we'll launch it up. And now, there it is. It's added into our list. We've got our video snap, ready to rock and roll. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I do want to just say thank you so much to all my patrons. I really appreciate the support. There's just I can't describe how grateful I truly am. And when you guys add games to the game list, it just makes it that much more exciting for me to create these builds. Stay tuned in the near future. There's definitely more classic editions going to be released, more builds coming from me. The PS2 pack for Vintage Collection, it is huge undertaking. It is taking a lot of my time, but believe me, once that's done, we can continue to move on. But I will have other releases while I'm working on the PS2 Vintage Collection pack. as well as the PSP Vintage Collection Pack will be in the very near future as well. So that's it for this video, guys. I really appreciate you watching, but most importantly, have a good day.